All right, welcome back. This is part 2 of our Rosenwald playthrough, and we shall revisit what our characters are doing in this forest of roses. All right. So, when last we left, we had Bozoba, Mahera, Baso, and Orlen in a broken town that had a fountain with an iron rose bush um, with silver roses and emerald leaves, and they were contemplating where they've been so far. And as they're taking their respite, they see through the haze that the way forward lies through what looks like a foggy cave with many twisting paths. In this cave, can't quite see standing at the entrance, but you hear distantly the call of what sounds like rabbit, maybe the laughter of the bandit queen, maybe other voices that you've heard from your past, and you're not sure what else lies beyond. But this is the way forward. What do you do?
So folks have gotten those like silver roses or
As far as I know, everybody had gotten something from the bush. Yep.
yeah.
I think I skipped it actually.
Yeah, I don't think Bozoba got anything either. I think I
He
know that
helped Mahera
He,
get
he,
one.
yeah,
yeah,
he did help Mahira get
yeah.
one. And I think like Orlin kind of like looked at the things, like the roses and the leaves, but didn't get anything. Like that wasn't
We're
what he was after, I think.
waiting for something with power.
Gotcha. That's right, relics. You were on the search for relics. Okay. All right. Well, again, the way forward is through this cave. So, do you go?
I think so. Yeah, I think for Bozoba though, he would look up at Mahira, just making sure that like she is pleased by the gift that she is given before taking up the reins, so to speak, and continuing on with the others.
Yeah, I think Mahera is kind of entranced by the beauty of this rose, and has sort of drowned out the other hunters. Um, Remind me, do we still have the wagon like in operation?
I think so. Yeah, it was just that we were pulling it instead of a horse.
Right.
Yes, as it should be.
So, as you're pulling this through this cave, there's enough room to be able to do so. But I think, if I remember correctly, the only one that was actually riding in the wagon was Mahira.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, you're going through this cave, and you will see down these twisting paths, there's actually bodies along the walls of the cave. And if you look close enough, or maybe even if you don't, you may recognize the face of one of the bandits that you had encountered at the start of your journey in the forest.
Do we see the executioner?
You do not.
How are they on the walls? Are they like just stuck onto them?
They seem to be in positions of betrayal. Like you see them repeated. I mean, like if you recall, there was like you only saw maybe about five, but then
Mhm.
you see more than that, and they're kind of grouped in where one person may look like they're stabbing the other one in the back, or, another pair of corpses are like trying to throttle each other.
Are they
Mhm.
like being held up by like vines or something, or is it like some kind of like webbing, or like how are they
It's
affixed to the walls?
You know how like in Egyptian temples like they have those etchings or paintings like in
Mm.
the wall?
Okay.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
they look like. They're like
So
kind
it's
of
like a frieze made of corpses.
right.
Cool.
Exactly.
I think Bozoba would stop, put down his rein, just sort of go up to them, uh, looking at them, seeing if there's like not anything on them to steal, because it's not his goal, but to see if any of them are reactive or alive, or if they're all just dead.
They're dead. But as you get closer, Bozoba, you see that the faces of the pair that you're looking at dissolve into more familiar faces. In one of them, you see your face, the one that's possibly being stabbed. Who's the face of your fellow adventurer who is doing the stabbing?
think I think Mahir would be the natural go-to, but I think that the way that this place works is that it plays with logic, and so I think it's Baso's. And I think once he sees this, he'd look at himself in the wall. It's empty, just like I am. And then he'd turn to the others, and specifically Baso. Look, come, we're going to murder each other.
Bazo, as you go to the wall, you
Mhm.
pass by another pair, and that pair are throttling each other.
Mhm.
You see your face in one of them. Whose is the other face? Of one of your fellow adventurers?
Mm.
Who's throttling you?
I think let's say Mahira, just to keep it interesting. Also, can I steal stuff from the things in the wall? Like
Hmm.
Bajo is not just like looking, he'll like grab stuff if there's stuff to grab.
Sure. I mean, like you can see if there's like, anything in their pockets or what have you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll just like
Orlen,
toss them into the wagon.
right. Orlen, your thorny patch probably feels a lot more prickly in this weird humid cave. Are you in the front or in the back?
I, I was letting them go first for sure. But now that we've got weirdness, I think I'll like move ahead just a little bit, try to find my own pastiche.
Okay. You see another set of corpses that are in the midst of betraying each other. In one of their faces, you see yours, and in the other face, you see whom of your fellow
Boz,
adventurers?
Bozoba, no question.
What is Bozoba doing to you, or to your this strange diorama of
Oh,
corpses?
probably shoving me off of something high onto something sharp.
And Mahira, from your vantage point in the wagon, you actually see that there's as you say, a frieze, like up further along the cave wall, like almost up on the ceiling. You also see a scene of betrayal. Again, yours is one of the faces. Whose is the other face of a fellow adventurer?
I think to close our morbid little circle here, it's going to be Orlen. And I think he is reaching down my throat, has gotten hold of something inside of me, and is like pulling it out like a farmer might root a weed.
As we're looking at this, and I imagine, do we see all these different tableaus? Do we see each other in them, or is it just like specific to us, these visions, but everyone else just sees bandits?
Yeah, specific to whatever pair you are looking at, and then like everybody else sees bandits, you know?
Okay.
So,
And but it's only ones that we're the victims in, not the ones that we're perpetrators in.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. Could be fun for later. So, in looking at yourselves in these tableaus, everyone give me ruin roll, please. Let's see. Okay. All right. I know that Bajo's went up. What about everybody else? I think Orleans went up too,
Those
Oh,
of us
yeah.
left as
and
well.
and Mahera.
Yeah.
Did anyone get away with not having ruin go up? Let me ask you that. Okay. All right. And Mahera, you are on the knife's edge yet again. Would you like to make your reduction roll at this point?
Yeah, I'm imagining that since we're entering this dark cave,
Hmm.
Mahira is kind of holding the torch, since everyone else would have been kind of holding onto the leads of the wagon.
Yes.
Um, and I think, I imagine it's like Mahira is kind of sitting alongside everyone's bags or like whatever things that people have piled onto the wagon.
Hmm.
And when she sees this vision of Orlen betraying her in such a gruesome way, I think we see her kind of train the light of the torch onto his bag. Um, Orlen, is there anything that you brought with you that's, I guess, more so sentimental than of monetary value?
Yeah, I have some like shoots from the Caligulus Grove to kind of bring it with me wherever I go. Basically just looks like sticks, but why the hell would he have them if they weren't sentimental?
In that case, I think we see Mahira like with her eyes on Orlen to make sure that he doesn't look back at her doing this, kind of spitefully grabs these sticks that are sticking out of Orlen's bag and smiles as she holds them against the flame of the torch and watches them burn to ash.
Ice cold. Okay.
Ooh, dang. Eesh. Okay, got it. All right. Um,
So I still have to roll, right, to
yes.
see if Orlen notices
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Yes. All right. You are unnoticed yet again. All right. So, I mean, I think Orland's a little bit busy with something that is bothering him physically. So, I mean, Orland, your should be a condition, by the way. I kept forgetting to like actually tell you to put it there. But I mean, like basically your thorny patch is a lot more prickly now. Um, it's taking a lot of willpower not to like just tear it open and scratch at it and try to tear these thorns out. So just put that under conditions. Um, Bajo, how is it like, going on your tender paws instead of feet, booted feet?
Um, I don't think it's really painful per se, but it's like when someone is given like either like corrective shoes or maybe like wearing kind of like in a high heels kind of way where like they walk differently. Like usually Bajo is there's like a slight hunch forward, very just steady and like grounded kind of strides. But now, as he walks, like the most natural way to do it is like standing up like straight, like an arched back, maybe a little bit too arched in a way. And he, I would say, glides as he walks more so now than just like really just like heavy stable footsteps. Um like it's still he doesn't like walk in any sort of alien way, but it's definitely a different stride that someone would is notice.
And his boots are off, right? They're just kind of exposed paws.
Mhm.
I think Bozoba would look down from the mural and smile at Baso, then look down at his feet and smile again. It'd be very good luck if I cut them off.
Hmm.
We could split them. I could
Hmm.
have one and you could have the other.
And in exchange, I will have your feet. Who do we cut first?
It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe Orlen and Mahera could cut our feet.
Hmm.
I don't want to leave them out of this after all.
Hmm. I think between the four of us, me and Mahera would have the best, maybe most experience with this sort of thing. Maybe leave it to the experts first, and then maybe I'll cut yours, and then I'll cut my own.
Perhaps, yes. Well, maybe we wait. We do
Mhm.
still have to pull this wagon, and that could be
It's true.
it could be awfully tedious.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we'll wait then. Yes.
Yes, it's very reasonable.
As this conversation's going on, um, Orlin, down one of these passageways, you see the face of your farmer friend.
Time to follow him.
Do you let your companions know that that's what you're doing? I mean, you might be a little bit outside of the torchlight at this point, or do you just go?
I'm just gonna go. Former
Okay.
friend hasn't talked creepily about how we're all going to kill each other yet, so that feels like the safer option probably in character.
He's actually beckoning to you as if he needs to tell you something. So you see the somewhat lit features of his face down the one corridor, and he just beckons. All right. And Bozoba, as you finish your conversation with Bajo, you turn or you hear like a rustling in one of the passageways behind you, and you see the gleam of the Mad Prophet's eyes and a smile that goes from ear to ear. He too is mouthing something at you, and you almost hear in your mind, behind your eyes, you hear, "Follow."
Follow you or follow everyone else.
Follow the rabbit.
Bozoba looks down at Bajo's feet, and then looks up at it again, very creepily smiles, and then he looks back to the voice where he assumes it's coming from out of the shadows, even though it's still in his head.
Mhm.
And he just gives him a
And the smile gets wider, if that's even possible, and then disappears into the black, into the
yeah.
darkness.
It's Bozoba's smile tries to get as wide as the prophet's, but obviously can't. So it's just really awkward. And
You go down the passageways, and I would say that you don't necessarily. Oh, God. Okay. So now my sound is starting to go out. I apologize. Ugh. Let me pause this for a second. And while I do this sound thing, I apologize. Of course. So I imagine that none of you notice that Orlen has strayed away from the wagon, because out of these passageways, you see fog that seems to envelop the cart and gives each of you some sort of feeling outside and inside of colors and shapes that distort what's around you, shifting into each other. And each of you hears something that reminds you of your drive. Say, as you're thinking about this, let us know what you see in the fog that reminds you of your drive, whether it be a whisper, whether it be a face.
I think for Bozoba, it's pretty easy. He's seeing the smile again in the eyes. And it's muffled by whatever fog is in between them, but he's saying something to him. And there's these like little motes of iridescent, like prismatic light that come out of it. And for some reason, it triggers something in Bozoba. He's been empty for so long, and he knows that those little pieces are pieces of him that he's supposed to get back. And that if he doesn't finish this to the end, if he doesn't prevent Rabbit from killing this prophet, that he won't get those pieces of himself back. And so he's looking at it very excitedly, but also with a sense of desperation. Like he's very eager to just keep going.
The fog kind of is the reminder for Orlen. So the Caliganus Grove is sort of this misty wilderland. And instead of like a whisper or something, he's hearing like, the sounds of the animals, ones that are deep enough in the forest that they don't really encounter humans. They don't know to be super wary. When he's around, and it's like beautiful and it's untouched and it's perfect and it's deeply creepy, and he just wants to go back there.
I think for Bajo, what he sees in the fog is like the colors of a bright orange and red. And as the fog kind of like shifts in front of him, they turn from just like colors in the fog to almost like a fabric, like a silky fabric that he sees. And then he's reminded of a time when he felt enveloped in this silky, luxurious fabric, and remembers that feeling he had when he was last at the swirling court.
I think that for Mahera, she sees from the wounds of the corpses in the walls, through the fog somehow, she sees these like kind of blooming spots of red kind of appearing and opening on the bodies, almost like roses. And in a gurgling voice, one of the corpses is whispering to her, "You've killed too many. You're never going to be able to pay it back. Try as you might." And Mahera, hearing that, covers her ears, although it doesn't dampen the voice.
In this fog, as you go deeper, and this also includes Orlen as you're following your friend, it's almost like his face is floating in front of you and continually beckoning. And for whatever reason, you decide that you're going to follow. In this fog, as you disappear into this haze, deeper into the passageways, you start feeling a sensation of like changing. There's something odd about the feeling inside you and outside of you, against your skin, in your clothes, and then deep in your center. And then as you're going through, you can feel yourself moving. But all of you that are with the wagon and in the wagon start to notice that things are starting to get bigger. And then as you come out of the cave, you find yourself swaddled in your clothes, realizing that you're shrinking. Orlen, in this haze, you still feel that same sort of change, but yours is more of growth. Your clothes are too tight. Your sleeve that is covering up that thorny patch is constricting to the point where you feel your blood is bursting.
All right. Time to start hulking out of my clothes.
Everyone take a ruin roll, please. If I read that right, I think Bajo's is the only one that goes up. Okay. In which case, let's see. Bajo, did you go up to 4 or did you go up to 5? 5. Okay. So, would you like to make a reduction roll?
Can I wait a bit to see when there's like a better opportunity to do it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
For sure. Okay. So, we have reached the end of ring 3. We now enter ring 4. Orlen, you are bursting out of your clothes. But what this also means is that you are experiencing growth, but you are also experiencing change. Something perhaps beautiful, something perhaps terrible. And you're following your friend, but you hear he's not speaking. You hear more of the animals that you remember from the Caligulous Grove. You hear some of the critters that would come to you and at least say hi when you were there. And one of the animal sounds appeals to you more than anything else, and you hear it. What is that? What is that sound? What is that animal?
Elk.
Okay. Your friend's face disappears from view, and you find yourself outside of the cave, a different exit than the others. But you do find yourself at the top of what looks like a cliff, and you're looking down and down and down. The other three, you find yourself in a dense underbrush that grows thicker and taller. It starts to loom over your shrinking figures, where it looks like the trees are immense, gargantuan, and now you're starting to see that the wagon is looking at least 5 times its normal size. Mahera, you might have trouble trying to clamber out of the wagon if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I think at this point that's certainly what she wants to do. I think first she'll yell down at Baso and Bozoba. Where's Orlen? We need him to cut us through this. You know where the hell you've led me to, but
I'm not sure that they were with us this whole time, weren't they? And Bozoba will start to just sort of look around and start calling out Orlen's name as loudly as possible.
Orlen, you sort of hear something from far away, like below you.
It's like telling,
You might even catch the view of a cart, of the wagon, but you don't see anything. But then again, I don't know how well elk see, like in terms of, distance, but
Am
yeah.
I an elk now? Feels like an important thing to check.
You might be.
Hey!
Or at least partially.
Love that. Very exciting.
Yeah. So there is a way down. It's just like it's a kind of like a windy path through the forest.
I'm equipped for that. Let's go.
Yeah. So
I think realizing our new heights and thinking about like how can we resolve this? What do babies do to grow? Well, they eat. And so he's going to reach into his pockets and pull out some of those cocoons that he was picking up along the way, and just start to shove them into his mouth, hoping that like if he eats them quickly enough, that maybe he'll start to bulk up.
I think, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. I think seeing that the cart is now very large, Bajo will kind of like walk up to it to examine it, like go towards more like the underside of the cart where it's more shadowed to see like how can we mechanically maybe help with this like big obstacle now. But once he goes underneath the cart, I would like to just disappear into the ground. And I would roll my reduction roll now. Because right now, Bajo would rather just watch how everyone else deals with this. And if any like giant owls comes down, like at least he won't be like the one that it gets taken.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
It's 4.
Okay. All right. So yeah, your betrayal goes unnoticed and you decrease your ruin. Sure. Down to 4. Okay.
It's like right now, every now and then we'll just see like a small head kind of like pop out from underneath the ground and like kind of sink back in.
I mean, it could just as easily be, like groundhog or whatever. I mean, you don't know. It's just like one of these creatures. I mean, as it is, everybody else except for Orlen is about the size of a squirrel. In fact, to show you your relative size, there are several squirrels that start coming out of the forest in this gargantuan landscape as the trees loom over you and make the view of the forest look as dark as a cave. And the squirrels are chittering, but they're not normal looking. They look misshapen in some way, twisted. How do these squirrels look out of a forest that worships the roses?
I think they got eyes that are like in the front of their head, like set forward in the skull.
I think that similar to Orlen, they have patches of their fur missing, and instead it's like tree bark or something like that. But there's like thorny outgrowths and patches that grow out from their hides.
I think their teeth have a sharp sort of metallic glint to them, the way that the rose bush at town was sort of metallic and jeweled.
Very true. Because as you're looking at some of them, some of them pass. Some of them look at you with a sinister grin, bearing these needle-sharp, iron-looking teeth. And you can see there's actually birds that they look like they're floating down, but by the mere size of them, it's like their wings are creating a wind that makes it very difficult to stay on your feet if you're upright on the ground. And you can actually see behind some of the feathers when some of these birds alight that their feathers have thorns peeking out from behind them.
I think this adds some urgency to Mahira's desire to get down to the ground with her companions, or companion now that Baso is hiding. So I think she has begun to take the length of rope that's tied around her and sort of affix it to one of the slats of the wagon, and sort of plans to use it as a sort of like kind of repelling rope to get down.
Let's see. I would say you're risking something here. Well, you can definitely get a light die for using your ropes skill and dexterity, so you get the 1 light die. Risking body for the dark. What could go wrong? Let's talk about that first. Most obvious would be one of these creatures would probably interfere and toy with you before, well, swatting you as you're trying to come down.
Yeah, mine was just going to be that one of those creatures, either the squirrel or the bird, just eats her.
One of the creatures, probably the bird, because Bajo is suspecting it, will like just take you to their nest.
All right, so that's what goes wrong. For the second light die, Devil's Bargain, no matter what.
No matter what, your rope breaks.
no matter what, this is when Rabbit brings her trap.
Yeah, I think just kind of like on a variation of the what could go wrong, I think no matter what, one of the creatures will carry you off.
I think this has to be when Rabbit springs her trap. I really like that one. Yeah. So that's 2 light die and 1 dark, right?
Okay. Yeah, that could be like you could totally take the fail. Don't advise it. Or you can
I think
add,
I will reroll.
yeah. So 2 and 2 to reroll, please. Okay, 4 dark. All right. So should be complication, I believe. Yep. All right. And it's not higher than your ruin, right? I mean, like, so you should be fine. At least in that way. All right. So you succeed to get down from the wagon, basically. But I think what ends up happening is that your rope gets tangled and you can't quite get it loose before you see a dark shadow cross in front of the wagon. Not too close to the wagon, but close enough that you notice it out of the corner of your eye. And Bozoba, you're probably looking in that general direction anyway. And Bajo, you could probably see this from your hiding spot. Basically, what it looks like is it would be as big as an elk if you were regular human size and an elk size. But what it is a very fat cat. It ambles into the path in front of the wagon, and it hasn't noticed you, any of you, at all yet. It just kind of wanders and meanders. It's big, comparatively. Its fur is oily, matted, and it looks like one of those squish-faced cats. Like, you know, the face is flatter than a regular cat. And again, it's plump. It's not a graceful one. So it lumbers across the path, but it's big enough to create an obstacle for you in your current size. Orlen, you're making your way down, and then your hoofbeats are making a bit of a thunderous noise. So to the others, I mean, it sounds like there's distant thunder coming. But what would you like to do now that this cat has appeared?
Is the cat on a path such that Mahera is separated from Bozoba and Baso?
No. I mean,
Okay.
again, it's like I think that Bozoba has not gone beyond the too far in front of the wagon, and I think if I remember correctly, Bajo, you went underneath it to burrow. So yeah. It's just, path ahead, and then this is crossing in front. So that's what it's done so far.
Then I think Mahera is getting frustrated, like tugging on her rope that has gotten all tangled and mussed. And she's like hissing at Bozoba. Where the hell is Baso? Where's Orlen for that matter?
Yeah. As I've been eating the cocoons, has anything happened? Or am I just like getting his tummy ache?
You're getting like this vision of a table. As you're eating, you're getting this vision of a table laden with all sorts of game meats. dressed up to serve with all the place settings and what have you. And there's essentially place settings for 11 people or 11 things. As you're eating each cocoon, then you're seeing a place setting, and then a strange procession is approaching the table in order of smallest to largest. But as you're finishing up just eating the cocoons and you start to hear Mahera hissing at you, then the vision fades. So you can't quite see what approached.
And do I see Baso sticking out like a little mushroom from the ground? A little mushroom hair.
I don't know. Did
I probably, because Bajo is skilled at like silence. It's just kind of the thing of like, you're like, if it's like a framed shot, you would be like looking a certain way, and we could see Bajo's head slightly popped up in the background. But as soon as you turn, you're starting to turn, he just like falls into the ground.
did you use your actual ritual?
Yes.
Okay, then let's go ahead and just double check this roll, because now that Bozoba is looking for you, it's like, let's double check this. So 1 for the silence,
Mm-hmm.
and then the dark die for the ritual.
Would you like this to be a risk roll or a contest roll?
You know what? This would be a nice time for a contest roll, I think. So the way contest rolls work, and for the rest of us. So when treasure hunters act against each other, compete, or want to inflict harm on each other, first degree, what's at stake? So what is at stake here? You're going to be found. And what do you think for Bozoba? Will Bajo attack him if he's discovered? I mean, it's like that's kind of like the nature of the contest roll.
Well, yeah, I was if Bajo doesn't have anything, I think it would just be a ruin roll, right?
Yeah,
or like the regular risk roll.
Risk roll,
yeah,
yeah,
or just like a distrust of Bajo. Like, I'll have to explain myself, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, either way, yeah. Like, I guess I can just do a risk roll if that works better.
Would just do a risk roll, because I mean, like, I kind of like to reserve the contest rolls for when you guys are actually at the end going after each other. Okay. So okay. Yes. So a regular risk roll, again, you get it for silence, the light die, you get the dark for the ritual, and then what could go wrong? Your burrow doesn't work as well as you had hoped, and you don't go deep enough fast enough, and Bozoba will discover you.
Yeah, the ritual will go up and you'll be able to move through the ground, but that's because you'll be part fungus. You little mushroom man. With rabbit feet.
We love mushroom men around here.
I think perhaps the vibration of Bajo burrowing in the ground will attract the attention of the cat.
I'm gonna kind of steal the fungus thing. I think you're gonna grow roots.
And now let's work on that second light die, which would be no matter what. I think I'm just going to extend upon, like, what was mentioned before. No matter what, your vibration of your burrowing will alert the cat, for sure.
I think no matter what, I think no matter what, your vibrations will actually attract something else in the earth. Maybe it's some kind of worm or insects or something, but it'll be different. We'll have to deal with another creature.
This is sort of a play on some of the what could go wrongs, but I think you might eventually emerge from the ground further transformed in whatever way that means.
What do you think?
I'll take the further transformation one. So 2 light, 1 dark.
Mm-hmm.
6 light.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, so you succeed to burrow, and then like Bozoba doesn't see you. Okay, and then
Well, then if I don't see him when we're calling out, I would like to try and get around this cat so we can keep going further. So I would try to use my dazzle ritual to distract it while we get our escape.
sure. Okay. Risk. So you've got your rituals for the ritual. So that helps for sure for the light die. And then of course the dark die is the ritual itself. What could go wrong? Cat doesn't care, and it will call more attention upon yourself, and it will go after you. This is the what can go wrong.
It attracts like the other critters that have been, I assume, slightly put off by the cat. They see something shiny and interesting, and they flock down to that area too.
The cat cares too much, and you will now be its toy.
The bright lights blind you.
All right. Second light die, no matter what. I think that to extend upon the what could go wrong, like you not only get the attention of the cat, but the cat will pursue you no matter where you go now.
No matter what, just to like steal the what could go wrong. You will be blinded no matter what. It'll work, but you know.
No matter what, you realize that the cat is another aspect of the Mad Prophet, and you did the wrong thing in avoiding it.
I don't think I can beat that one.
That sounds so good. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that one. I think I like that. So yeah, I'll pick that one.
Okay, so just to clarify, so that one was the like, you done wrong by
Yeah, I did wrong by the prophet, and so
Oh,
I guess we'll see how that affects.
right. Okay. Alrighty. Okay.
I rolled a 5.
Do you want to take it, or did you want to try to add a like dark die and reroll?
I thought a 5 was good.
It is, but I mean, like, it's actually telling us that it's like, if you
Oh,
kind of want to nudge it a little bit, you could conceivably do risk 2-2. You don't have to. I mean, like, if you,
I'll take this. It's
okay,
fine.
great. Okay, so, so no matter what, then, So you succeed, and you basically pull off the dazzle of your life, and then the cat's eyes are looking up at it in its like flattened face kind of way, but then it turns away, swings its face away from the dazzle. Everything else is kind of like, hovering around it or chittering at it, like almost like it's a party, it's great, like they're kind of hanging out. But now the cat's attention has swung over to the wagon and you two that are visible in it. or around it. And it smiles at you, literally smiles at you. And its eyes open wider, and you can see in these eyes that shine like lanterns, Bozoba, you see the shine of the Mad Prophet's eyes, and the smile get even wider, wider than its own face. And the fur ripples, and the body fades, and then the face fades, and then the eyes dim and disappear, and all that's left is the smile. And then that too fades as well. And then you hear behind your eyes, you hear, "You could have come with me."
I wasn't supposed to do that. No. I want to come with you. I want to be with you. I want you to teach me things. Please just give me back what I want.
And you hear a in your ears.
Bozoba, who are you talking to?
Please, I don't want to be empty anymore. Just fill me back up, please. I promise I won't do anything to hurt you again. It was a mistake.
At this point, I think Orlen has thundered down from the cliffside. And then you see, Orlen, you see the wagon. I don't know whether you actually see your compatriots.
Am I like still person sized more or less? Am I just like a little bit bigger, or am I way bigger than I should be?
I think you are person size, but you are in like the partially transformed elk form. So they may or may not even recognize you as yourself. So
Oh
you
boy.
do see the wagon. I
Yeah.
mean, the wagon's right there, but yeah.
I guess I'll walk on up and, I don't know, worst case scenario, snag whatever his bag of stuff is.
As you approach the wagon, you see appearing in the wagon, you see what looks like the outline of a cat, a very big cat, very fat looking. And it seems to be appearing inside the wagon and then looking over the edge at something. And then you hear as it swats at something on the other side of the wagon that you cannot see.
Do I hear any tiny voices screaming?
I don't know. Are they screaming? Because basically the cat has found you guys, or at least found Mahera and Bozoba. So above you, you hear and see this big paw like swiping at the two of you. Baso, I'm assuming you're underneath the cart still.
Can I just scruff the cat and like look at whatever it's swiping at? I'm a little concerned about spilling blood in case it doesn't only apply to people. So I'm just gonna like,
Interesting.
maybe not while I'm standing here.
Gotcha. Okay. Give it a shot. I'm just curious to see how you do. So, risking, let's see, hold on. For funsies. All right. So, skill, beasts. For the light die. Dark die. Not using a ritual, but you are risking, in this case, you're gonna be risking your body. Because I think the cat's going to do something to you.
Also a decent chance that I haven't quite realized how thorny I am, and I end up spilling blood anyway.
True. So, what can go wrong? that. You're sprouting thorns now, like, further down your arm and such and so forth, especially if that's the arm that you're using to try and grab this cat.
Sure, why not?
So that's
Make some poor
a risk.
decisions.
Sure, why not? And then what else can go wrong?
That was pretty much mine. The cat swipes up and bats at you, but its claws are razor sharp, just kind of rake across your skull and just bleed you out onto the earth. And then fun times happen.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking along the same lines as that. I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah, I think that's about what I got too.
And then no matter what for that second light die.
No matter what, you also shrink like us.
No matter what, the cat manages to tear into you, but it tears off your elk face, and you are just basically your own face, but on an elk body.
I'm thinking that no matter what, because of the way the forest is distorting things and changing things anyway, I think it's going to force your beast form. Whether it be remaining like this or even more transformed or a different beast altogether, only you would know when it happens. So that's the devil's bargain.
I'm gonna take that one. That sounds rad.
Cool. All right. So 2 light, 1 dark. Okay. So let me check. I think that brings up your ruin as well. So you will have the option for doing a reduction roll either now, or you can try to hold it. See, because you're also on the knife's edge at this point. Yeah. So you do succeed, but you do succeed in removing the cat from the wagon and away from your companions, even though you don't know that. But it does take a wide swipe at you, scratching the thorny arm, and it creates some sort of reaction where it's forcing your beast form. It is making you transform. What does that look and feel like?
I was thinking functionally, probably bear would be, if you're going to run through a semi-wild forest regularly, you want to pick something with very few natural predators. So I would have probably gone with that. So yeah, I don't really know how grizzly bear plus elk plus human is going to look out. I don't think it's pretty. I think it's probably got some weird tooth configurations. And yeah, we're still dealing with the thorn arm probably up to the shoulder bit.
Which is causing you extra pain as well. So I think what happens is, as you're changing and then you can feel yourself changing and it's quite painful, I think you're overturning the cart a bit in your size. So Bajo, it's like if you're completely burrowed, it's like you might be somewhat protected, but the other two, the wagon is turning now because of this big beast that's almost suddenly appeared, and you're going to need to go. And the cat appears as well behind you, behind the wagon. It starts off with a smile, and then the eyes, and then its body and its face. And it just smiles at the two of you on the ground that it sees and says, deeper, deeper.
As I'm transforming, can I attempt to recover some ruin by just like, I don't know, ripping off some skin and revealing some more thorn? I'm very excited to be a weird looking tree. So that's sort of what I'm trying to hurry along. Or do I have to try to eat somebody?
I mean, you want to be more ruined, or you're trying to reduce?
I'm trying to reduce ruin. I'm trying to recover from the ruin.
I'm thinking okay, so you can make the reduction roll, and then you can see if your betrayal goes unnoticed. If it goes unnoticed, then they could just as easily think that you're a wild bear that just decided it's hungry and wants to eat somebody. If you get noticed, then I think they're going to be able to see resemblance to Orlen in your facade and know that you are trying to hurt them. Yep.
That feels right. Okay.
Ruin roll. I mean, reduction roll. Okay. So you reduce your ruin and you go, well, animal mad, and you see the little morsels that are in front of you. The cat is also involved as well. I mean, like, maybe chasing down Mahera, and maybe Bozoba was like right there.
Bozoba can't shove me off a cliff with Bozoba's snack.
Yeah, you don't know that.
Okay, so I think that at this point, the forest looms large, even over you, Orlen, even in your new form, because the fog and the haze starts to drift in further, changing the shapes, changing the shadows of these creatures that were already congregating here because of the dazzle. And the cat is blinking in and out, just kind of toying with you all. And then Orlen, you're now susceptible to the effects of the haze, and you can feel yourself shrinking as well, even in your new form. And basically the cat is trying to scatter you all.
Well, I mean, since Bozoba thinks that the cat is either an emissary or is the Mad Prophet, he would be more pleading and just like, tell me what to do and I will do it.
As it's kind of like appearing and disappearing, the voice in your head goes, will you ride?
Yes, yes, of course.
Catch me then. See if you can ride into the forest, deeper for the cure. And it actually presents itself for a second next to you, smiles, and then blinks out. As it blinks back and swats at Orlen, and then blinks next to you again. Baso, what are you doing?
Bajo at this point, because we're still like in a forest, and really only Orlen is the one that's like incredibly comfortable being in this place. At this point, Bajo is no longer in the ground. He is just hiding in some very large foliage. And as he just like watching to see where everyone goes, and as he is hiding, because he is changed, we can see that weirdly, the rose that he took from the bush like shrunk with him. But now it seems to be attached to his like back shoulder and has been like spreading vines throughout his body. And he's just there in the shadows watching.
You notice that the foliage that you've hidden in, there are brambles among here, and the thorns of these brambles are littered with what appears to be bodies, same size as you, of a traveling group. Their corpses are twisted and entangled in this. You recognize one of these bodies. But this body looks like it has something that indicates it is tied to Mahera's drive. What do you see on this person's body?
Yeah, I'll just go with the classic. There's a really very well drawn wanted poster of Mahera with like a lot of money on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nice. And you hear from a nearby branch, you hear a bird shriek. And it looks like it's eyeing beetily the others as they duck and cover and try to avoid the cat and the now maddened bear creature elk thing that appeared. So Mahera, what do you do?
So Bozoba is here, like still trying to like parlay the cat, right? So I think Mahera has just been yelling at him, like, we need to get to safety. She can't hear the cat, so she doesn't even really know what or why Bozoba is talking, appears to be talking to it. I think she tries one last time to kind of grab Bozoba and like physically shake him into kind of being reasonable. Not that she's ever seen him do that before. And if he doesn't come with her, I think she's going to turn tail and run deeper into the forest herself.
Okay. Bozoba, are you heeding?
Yeah, I think I think he's just really wrapped up in trying to get away. And so I think at some point, I think Mahira's got enough force of presence that like at some point when she started to scream, we need to keep going, we need to get out of here. Like that might have started to intercut between like the cat blinking in and out of his vision. And so I think he'd finally turn to her and say, we shouldn't be here, right?
Of course we shouldn't be here. She's like jumping back to avoid another swipe from the cat's paw.
Well, if we mount the cat, it will take us to where it wants us to go. But if we don't, do you think your rope can manage that?
Yeah, I think I can manage something.
Yes, let's wrangle the cat, and it will, and he will take us to where it's supposed to take us, and all will be well.
You're sure about this, Bozoba?
I've never been more sure in my life.
She makes this face like that's not very convincing, but she'll go with it. And I think we see her tying like the frayed end of her rope, which is now half as long as it was, into a lasso of sorts, and we'll try to time it perfectly so that when the cat kind of blinks back into our vision, she has it at the ready to sort of tie around probably its tail. I don't think she has enough rope to get around its neck. But yeah, that's what she's doing.
All right. Sounds like a risk roll to me. My goodness. So ropes definitely for the skill, for the first light die, and then the let's see. Okay. And then risk to mind and body. I mean, definitely body for sure, for that dark die. And then what could go wrong? You miss, and the cat takes a fatal swipe on you.
Yeah, mine was similar. Mine was just gonna be like the cat stomps on her and squishes her.
Bozoba gets on and you don't.
You get on, but Bozoba doesn't.
Ooh, okay. Devil's bargain, no matter what.
No matter what, Orlen's gonna try to kill the cat.
Oh man. Okay.
No
I
matter,
didn't say succeed.
Yeah.
Try is doing a lot of work there.
Yeah.
no matter what, no matter what, the lasso is successful, but it drags Mahera and Bozoba away from Orlen and Baso.
No matter what, all the ropes you have that you've always known you've carried, they change into something else. They'll still be ropes, but they will be much more plant-like, maybe even vine-like.
I'm gonna say that no matter what, after this ride on the cat, with the cat, along the cat, whatever you do with this, the ropes will be in no condition to help you after that. They will be unusable.
No, not my ropes. I like the idea that the ropes change in some way, so I'll go with Pulse.
Okay. So risk 2-1, please. Okay. All right. So you succeed. You're able to wrangle the rope around the cat, like in like partial blink, and then it realizes what happened. And as you snagged it, and I'm assuming Bozoba's hanging off of you for dear life as it drags you away, because I'm just going to say that that happens as well. You notice that your ropes have changed into something akin to rose vines with thorns. So you are also getting pierced as you are holding on. You can use some of the thorns to kind of help with the grip, but yourself is getting a bit bloody. So for right now, yeah. Are Bozoba, are you hanging on as well? You both are essentially getting dragged
Yeah,
away by the.
I'm wanting to get deeper into this forest, and if the cat's doing that, I'm on board.
Yep. So.
And if I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add that I think as we see Mahera's hands and forearms get bloodied by these thorns, of the kind of red stain that flows down the thorned rope begins to make it look less like a rose vine and more like an organ, an intestine unfurled. And yeah, I don't want to do anything with that right now, but I just want to add that.
Lovely detail. My goodness. All right. So we've got Mahera and Bozoba getting dragged away. And then Bajo, you're in this foliage looking at the wanted poster on this body of Mahera. And then Orlen, the cat's gone. And of course, the two little companions as well. Question. Do you, in your bestial form, do you sense or smell Bajo around?
That's what I was. Yeah, I mean, I think he seems very, very huntable at the moment, unfortunately.
I want to, hold on, let me see. I think, if I recall correctly. Okay, everybody's not on the knife's edge, so that's good. All right, great. So, before we break out of ring 4, I want to know, Orlen, are you stalking Bajo?
100%, yes.
Okay, Bajo, do you want to figure out a way to leave leave the area and try to go deeper, or what would you like to do?
The original plan was to stalk Mahera and Bozoba also.
Mm. Or you can run, and then Orlen will be following.
Does it seem like Orlen is just gonna do it like right now, or are they just like waiting for the right moment?
You're in a bramble patch. I don't know that I want to go headlong into that.
So Bajo, the very least he knows what's hunting him. And he knows that worst comes to worst, he could use that later. So the plan is, because he has both silence and like all his like skills basically work for this, to be like just like keeping in like brambly places that will deter Orlen from grabbing him, while at the same time following Bozoba and Mahera on the cat.
Okay. Alrighty. So now, are you going to be burrowing while you're doing this as well, I'm assuming?
Not at the moment. He can probably just like use all the foliage around, because he is a naturalist. He can kind of just do like he'll save the burrow if he needs it. Like probably when Orlen attacks, that's when he's gonna burrow. But for now, it's fine. He kind of wants Orlen to be able to follow him, because it's like when you try to take like a bigger enemy and just like leading them to like smaller ones in the future.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna have you do a dark dive because you're risking your body at this point. So your skills in silence for the light die, risking body for the dark, and then what could go wrong? Yeah, you flub up, and then Orlen is able to try to get at you, basically. What could go wrong?
Spills his own blood on the brambles again.
If nothing else, then let's go to Devil's Bargain. So, no matter what, I think that succeed or fail, I think you're going to be able to follow the other two, but then also you would also have Orlen stalk you to wherever you go.
Yeah, with that cat, it's so cute. I think no matter what, we'll all get back together. The mist will take us to where it wants us to go together as a group. And if this is pushing it, just let me know. But we'll all return to regular size, but something about each of us will have changed.
I mean, this is rabbit behavior. You're creeping through a bramble bush. I think you're going to get more rabbity.
I want to do something with the rose that's buried itself in your back, but I'm like having trouble formulating it. So maybe I'll just say that. That's a lot of words to say. I don't have an idea.
Maybe like instead of the one I just said, I'll play off what else said, and maybe the rose will spring up, but then maybe like these like bug-like dragonfly wings will pop out, and they'll help take you to where you go, but you will just have them for the remainder of your time in the forest, and probably when you leave, if you leave.
Yeah, I like the dragonfly wings. I'll take that one.
Okay, risk 2-1.
All right.
Okay. Succeed, but your rune goes up. What does this look like as you grow these wings and then you have a new vantage point to following your companions?
Yeah. So Bajo, I think, makes eye contact with Orlen in their beast form. He knows when he's become prey. It's a familiar feeling to Basho, and like a part of him kind of just like goes into this more primal like sensibility, and it's not just focused on one hiding, but also like looks off to the distance and sees the cat, but also following, and that kind of just becomes his only thought. And he will hide in the bramble And Orlen loses sight of him for a moment, but then in a bramble nearby, he makes sure to make some noise, and Orlen follows along, and he just keeps stringing Orlen along while following the other two. And as he does this, whenever we see him kind of move hiding spots on his back, the rose, it looks like dragonfly wings, but it also has kind of a effect of what looks to be like unfurling petals, but they're not like regular petals. They have a more like, it looks like they have like bodily veins going through them. We can see like a slight flowing of some sort of liquid as they go through these dragonfly petal wing things. And even more so now, Baso glides along the ground, but also doesn't fly, but glides a bit at every step.
Beautiful. So, we now close out of ring 4. We're going to take a 5-minute break. That should be sufficient. And then we will go into ring 5. So, on my watch, it'll be the 10 mark. Okay, so 5 minutes. All right. Okay. Ring 5. So, in the breakneck race of Mahera and Bozoba clinging to the rope that is now an intestine, bloodied, textured, wrapped around this cat that seems to be blinking in and out, but still around something tangible. It's like you see the forest rushing past. Baso, you're making your way through the brambles, gliding along the ground, and seeing, or feeling, I should say, possibly a different kind of freedom, not being constrained by your human self, as is Orlen, who has something completely different to anything he's ever experienced, I'm sure, being this combination beast and plant and being more of the forest, I think, more of the roses. As you each come to the center of this forest, and what ends up happening is that the cat bucks. It finally feels what you've wrapped around it, Mahera, and it does what would essentially be a skidding run, where it stops suddenly and then darts to one side, essentially having you two be flung off of this rope intestine and being separated amongst the thorns and the brambles. Still reduced size, all of you, but each in your own way, come to this bush, illuminated in the dark forest by some sort of shaft of moonlight. And this bush bears a single rose as white as the new fallen snow. And this is amidst dozens of roses flecked red with stains of blood. The thorns of the bush are black and dripping with ichor, tangled around the corpses of those who came before. You see the faces of the bandits. Maybe you see, Orlen, the face of the farmer that you knew. Bozoba. There's even a resemblance to the mad prophet amongst these corpses. Baso. People you might have known from the swirling court might be here. And Mahera. Dear Mahera. These corpses that you see here are profuse and profound with the blood of those that you might have dispatched quite quickly out of this world. All of you here in your head, whether by the voice of the Mad Prophet, the voice or the chitters of animals that you know and understand, even though you don't know how, or perhaps the lilting laugh of the Bandit Queen, you hear, "We can satisfy your deepest desires if you are pure. You may not be pure enough, but if your companions are more impure, your own purity can be enhanced by slaying those that are more impure than you. Will you be found worthy? Do we try you all at this court?"
This flower that's at the top of the bush, obviously it's of some kind of importance, but is there kind of like any kind of energy or motif that's like directing our eyes there, or like a sense of that, like of its importance, or is it just so happens to be?
It is the single rose that is white, and everything else are dozens of roses that have been flecked and stained with the blood of those entangled in the brambles. Each of you see something different.
So it's like, it would be reasonable then to think that like these people shed their blood on their way to try and get this rose.
Yep. This bush rules over the heart of this wood, and their blood has been drained by it.
And can we see? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Can we see one another, or is our vision of our companions blocked by the dense bramble?
Mm-hmm.
So we all think that we're alone with this
Correct.
bush thing. Okay.
Correct. I mean, you may be near each other. You may not be. You just can't see anybody else except for the corpses, the roses, and the single bush with the single rose, as white as snow.
I think, yeah, so Bozoba, he's a vessel, and he thinks himself as being completely vacant of anything and wanting to be filled. So I think that in his mind, when he's given this directive, there is nothing more pure than emptiness. And so he looks up at the bush and looks at the rose, and it's meant for me. It has to be. There's nothing more pure than me. I'm nothing. And he sort of holds himself, clenching like his hands around himself. And he's going to go ahead and perform a ritual to get to the top of the bush, to the rose. And it's called Topsy-Turvy. And it can change the orientation of gravity for thing you touch. And I'm touching myself.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So you're going to be using the ritual on yourself to get to this rose.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for using it, I'm going to say, you know what? Hold on. Let me think a minute. Yeah, go ahead and we're going to go ahead and do the risk roll. Sure.
Okay. And I imagine too, the rose is like several times bigger than me.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
y'all small.
The reduction rule says that one of the things is like getting in the way of rituals.
Mm-hmm.
Should I do it after the risk roll or before it?
Let me think. What would you do exactly? I mean, if you don't sense each other,
Hmm.
what would you think you would do to reduce your ruin, but still, well, essentially fuck everybody else over? Um,
I'm going to use my dragonfly wings and I'm going to steal it first.
It's be like subtle, right? In that case, I won't really mess with the um ritual per se. It can happen, but I think what will happen instead is just like Bajo will just be perched nearby. Like he knows that like everyone's gonna come here. It's like the last place.
right.
He will just like use the wings and kind of just like place himself in a spot
Mm-hmm.
that if someone shows up, he can just like ambush them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, let me see. I'm trying to recall if this is a stakes thing because you're getting yourself ready to go and do something. Contest roll. You know what? I'm just going to call it. It's just going to be a contest roll between the two of you because Bajo's ready to go, ready to pounce on whomever is going to get there. And then Bozoba, you're pretty much trying to activate your ritual to get to the rose as well. So, stakes. All right. Yeah. So, who will get to the rose first? One light die.
So yes, I get one light die for the ritual itself, and then I get a light die for each point of ruin, right?
Yes, so that's 5. Take 1 dark die if the contest is inherently dangerous. I would definitely say that, because you're going to be going against each other. And then take as many additional dark dice as you are willing to risk. All right, so again, 5 light, and then how many dark do you want to do? Don't roll
Black
yet.
dark.
Just
I
Yeah.
just rolled.
I mean, I won't. I already knew how much I was gonna do, so I get 1 light die for silence, I assume.
Yep.
And then 5 more light die for my ruin, so I'm
So
at 6,
6.
right?
Yep.
And I'll do 1 dark die. I was gonna do
Just
it no matter what anyway.
Just 1.
Yeah,
Okay. So let's see.
I had 5 ruins, so it's like only 1 in 6 chance.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 light and
1 dark.
1 dark. Yeah.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. They win.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, Bozoba won and got to the rose first. All right.
Okay.
Okay. As you're getting this rose, are you trying to pick it or are you just trying to get to it?
Just trying to get there mostly. I mean, I imagine it's because it's tiny. It's something of a bit more treacherous than it would be if he was just like regular size and plucking it.
Exactly.
So I'd say that like he flings himself up onto the top of the bush and just maybe tumbles into it, but he still has to like get to it.
Okay. Well, as you're trying to get into it, then a hand reaches from inside the bush, grabs your lapel, and then pulls you in. And you find yourself inside the bush. And you're staring at the mad prophet who smiles at you with those eyes. And the smile that goes from ear to ear. But it's not sinister. in this case. It's very warm. It's a very warm smile and kind. You find yourself here, seeking me. Is that right?
Yes, it's been a treacherous journey, but we're here together.
Yes. And you want the cure. Is that it? You want...
Not a cure, just to not be empty again.
Oh, fulfillment is here. Absolutely. Among the roses. But the roses need to be fulfilled as well. You know how to do that, don't you?
No, I don't.
Blood. The roses need to be nourished by blood. The smile is ever warmer and kind to you. He will, from behind his back, he will give you an axe.
Shall I go down there and find the others, or shall I wait for them to come to me?
That is up to you. But it is so important to nourish, to feed this rose. And then the roses will feed you.
I feel safe with you, so I will wait here until the others show. If they show, and if they do show, I will feed the roses.
And the roses will be so pleased with you. Baso, you find yourself, well, you didn't quite see what had happened,
Mm-hmm.
but do you go to the rose, or do you find yourself like, kind of still waiting to see
Yeah, I
who will
think
come in?
yeah, I think that was what happens. Like he took too long to set up and just
Mhm.
missed Bozoba.
Okay,
So he's still there,
okay,
just waiting.
alrighty. Now, Mahera, it's all these bodies, all these people representative of some of those that you've killed. They're here. They're nourishing the roses.
Yeah, I think Mahira has been kind of stumbling forward through the brambles as she emerges. Her skin is like completely like running with blood and puncture wounds, and she kind of stumbles out. I think like falls to her knees in front of this bush, and she says, if you're looking for purity, and that's me. Uh, I'm here to help clear my name. I did a lot of bad things in the past. I regret them. I regret them all. Her eyes are sort of darting around the faces of the corpses that are kind of enmeshed in the bush. Um, she's absolutely lying, though. She doesn't regret anything she did. She's just saying whatever is going to get her out of this alive. Um, and she says, my companions, though, they're looking for lost glory, and I don't. They're selfish. I'm the only one here who's trying to make something better of herself.
You hear whispering coming from the brambles. You are being tried here for these crimes. You are sentenced to death. You are being tried for the murder of. You are being tried for the theft of. All of these whispering voices delineating your crimes. And then one dissenting voice, one defending voice that supersedes them all in your head, even though these voices, these corpses, are whispering to you. And one of these voices says, "She can be pure, but she needs to prove her purity. Blood pays for blood." And then you see what looks like an athame appear in the center of the brambles in front of you. And it will almost call out to you, looking sturdy, looking straight, like one of the justiciars that had tried you. But it's white and gleaming, and says in your head, "Blood pays for blood. Feed the roses, and you shall be pure. Your crimes shall be erased. That is the payment."
She scrambles to her feet and approaches quickly, hesitantly, grabs the athame and like steps back as though she thinks the brambles might, or the bush might like reach out and snatch her and pull her in. And she kind of examines it in the moonlight and nods to herself. It doesn't take her long to decide on what she has to do. And she spins around toward the brambles where she suspects the others might be. And she starts to say, "Orlen, Baso, come out, I think it's safe." She's hiding the athame behind her back.
Orlen, you come out into the brambles, seeing the rose bush from where you are. You don't see anyone else. You do hear distantly Mahera saying, "It's safe." You actually hear calls of the wild. You hear the animals, their barks and chitters and hoots or hollers speak to you more than any human voice has ever spoken before. What do they say? What do you hear? Oh, unmute.
I think they're indicating. I don't know if I got the purity message that everybody did exactly, but I think the goal has changed for Orlen. I think Orlen was looking originally to like remake a forest that he felt part of, and now this forest has made him part of it, and that's perfect. That's everything he wanted. Um, but the others aren't there yet. They're little invasive species. They need to be eradicated.
The animal whispers that you hear indicate to you in your visceral self that clearing their blood will bring the glory of the roses and the grove to fruition. Feed the roses. Bring the glory back to the grove. Do you head toward Mahera's voice?
Yeah, I think whoever I encounter first.
Would you say that around this bush that you each, in your own way, Mahera and Orlen, that you make your way to each other in terms of the contest. Stakes. Who kills whom first, I would imagine. Because the roses are calling for the blood. So, contest roll. Let's go ahead and just go right to it.
How many people can participate in a contest roll at one time?
I think, like, it could be everybody. It's just a
Right?
matter of, like, it's a roll-off, really. So, again, like, you wait, before you roll, everybody sets out how many die that they're going to use, yeah? So, Bozoba's, like, pretty much, like, hanging with the the mad prophet, so he's like, he'll just wait for whomever's left. Okay, so whomever wants to participate, let's work this out, okay? So, 1 light die for your occupation or background skills, like, adding to this. The light die count for however much ruin you have. And then 1 dark die, because the contest is definitely dangerous. And then however many dark die you want to include. Do not roll, just tell me how many light and dark you're using. For who's participating.
So I think I get 4 light just for my ruin, but I don't think any of my skills apply here.
I want to say stealth or dexterity. So I think you can apply one of those. So you would have a total of 5 light for sure. And then
Okay, yeah, dexterity makes sense, I guess, yeah.
And then how many dark die on top of the 1 that you get? How many dark die do you want to do total?
10.
Okay. Fun. All right, Orlen. You get 1 light die for the hunting. I'm definitely gonna say that. 4 for the ruin, so that's 5 light. 1 dark die. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, is there a limit to how many dark die we can add?
No, but
Jesus.
but like the amount of ones you get on the dark die gives you ruin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, bring it on. I'll match that 10.
Okay. All right. Anybody else before I say roll? Okay. Bajo, are you doing it?
Yeah, I think I'll just do I'll do 4. That's what I was gonna do it anyways.
Okay. So 6 light, because you have 1 light die for your silence, and then 5 for your ruin. So 6 light, and you said 4?
Yeah, just 4 dark. That's fine.
Okay, so 6, 4. All right, so Bajo 6-4, Mahera 5-10, and Orlen 5-10. This should be hilarious. Okay, go ahead. Contest. Okay, so Orlen has added 2 ruin. Yup. Mahera, holy scheisse. And ruin 1 by 1. Okay.
I'm very pleased by this result.
No, that's fine. Hold on a second. I'm
Yes.
looking at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so Orlen wins, but like up to 6 ruin, and Mahera is just holy crap incredible.
I think we all get lost.
Yeah. Wait.
I'm pretty sure, but there's 4 ones here.
Oh wait, yeah, that's right, because you got
Yeah.
6. Yeah, you got definitely 6 ruin now. Bajo.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody that did this contest roll is lost. What that means? Okay, so Orlen, you do succeed in killing someone, but you're lost because you have the most 6 die. Yeah, and then the other 2 are definitely lost as well. Wow. Okay, sorry. No. So, okay, hold on a second. All right. So, narrate how this menage a murder happens. Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
how
say
Bajo.
how you're lost. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Bajo, I think Bajo is the first one to show up because Orlen it's like a bigger body, it takes a bit more time to navigate the brambles.
Sure.
So Bajo was kind of like perched up higher with like thorns and stuff. And he was ready to just like full Assassin's Creed downwards to Mahera. But um, when he like jumps off, the plants don't want him to leave. They want him to stay. And they just grab at him, and the vines that are part of his body kind of like try to attach to the vines in the forest. But he wants to keep going. So he just pulls his body from the vines that are attached to him. The vines are tying him up, and he just gets like torn apart by these. And he just keeps saying, like, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. And he just keeps getting torn and torn. And then Mahera, you pull your knife out as you see Bajo appear. More like a lot of visible bones as the flesh has been rended off, and he gets closer to you, bloody, and eventually he falls to the ground. And what you just see on the ground is a white rabbit that just has been rended and torn apart by vines instead, no longer Bajo.
I think Mahera was sort of sneaking around the side of the bush, still calling out for Bajo and Orlen when she saw that horrific sight. And we get that moment where she's like looking down at this eviscerated rabbit and sort of processing it. Orlen, I think if you would like, that could be the moment when you strike.
Yeah, I think this horrible, vaguely, I mean, there's still like patches of fur on it, but it's mostly like thorns and teeth and the odd hoof. Just comes flying out of the bramble and sort of like takes her into the proper, like the big bush with the white rose at the top. So we will be shedding blood, which is how Ortland's gonna complete the transformation into whatever. But up to you on what that means for you.
Yeah, I think firstly, Mahera is not going gently into that good night. Like she is kicking and screaming and clawing, and she is like this small like ball of frenzy. She wrestles with this monstrosity that's just crashed out of the bramble, and I think as we sort of get tangled in this bush and the thorns are grabbing at our skin and shedding blood, we see a few drops of this like bright red blood spilling on the athame, this like pure white blade. And I think Mahera looks down at first as she thinks that she's gotten a good stab in on this creature that I'm not even sure that she knows is Orlen. And she has this like diabolical grin on her face, like she thinks she's won. And then she feels the searing pain and realizes that in the confusion, it's her own gut that she has sliced open. Do we have a line on gore here? I feel like I've already maybe skirted it a few times in session if we do.
It's marked as interest, so.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And we see like her intestine sort of beginning to spill out, and she's like in shock, like trying to hold it in. but I think like as it spills out, it begins to take more of a sort of vine-like quality and sort of begin to root itself into the ground around her and Orlen. And we see something like moving under her skin, like a vine growing upward as well and out of her mouth. And then suddenly, with this horrible burst of blood onto Orlen, her skin just like peels away in thick strips like petals, pink and red on the inside. And she is kind of, I think, losing her faculties at this point. And she is whispering to you, Orlen, as she dies. I just wanted to see the stars. And her head tips back, her eyes looking skyward, although there are no stars tonight. And she dies.
I think if Orlen technically won, there's going to be a whole lengthy process of sort of backing out of the bramble bush. Doesn't really matter after this point what happens there, and just sort of loping off into the forest to try to eat whatever next batch of travelers comes along.
So, Bozoba. The Mad Prophet waits with you, had handed you the axe, and then turns to you after all this has gone on. You didn't hear anything inside the bush, and says, "Well, it seems that your companions have spilled their own blood for you. What a wonderful sacrifice. Do you feel that you can be fulfilled now?"
I think Bozoba was excited for the prospect of purpose. And now that even that purpose has been dashed, it feels like it's back to square one. And he looks at the axe, looks at the prophet. Is the prophet his size or like the size of a regular person?
You are both the size of a regular person inside this bush, but
Okay.
after he said what he said, he has turned away and put the hood that he had over his head. So he's turned away from you right now.
Well, I came to listen to the Mad Prophet. And when he gives me a tool, I have to use it. And he'll try and hack into the prophet himself with the axe.
When you do, the robe falls away and almost shrinks down upon itself, taking the axe with it. And then what happens is that in a swirl of cloth, the axe disappears, and then in the robe facing you is Elise. Welcome. We are so glad that you're here. You made it.
You
The
were a
blood-
trap, though.
Some would say so. I don't think so. The roses need to be fed. And
debts need to be paid. Thankfully, I don't need an axe to do this. And he'll go in and try to, without too much detail, go in and try to take her out.
Now, this is where I decide whether it's like we treat this as a monstrosity and have you die automatically, or if I say, sure, let's see what kind of risk that you have for doing this. Let's let the die tell us what happens. And then for everyone else, I mean, once we resolve what happens to Bozoba, then we're going to go into epilogues. All right, and I'll explain what that does after we resolve Bozoba. So, Bozoba, you're going to just go in with your hands, right?
Yep.
We're going to go with Madness as your light die. And your dark die, of course, is risking mind, not necessarily body in this case. And then, what could go wrong? I think you're going to be very likely to lose yourself to the forest, I think, at the basic point of doing this. And, anybody else want to suggest anything going wrong before we go to Devil's Bargain?
And the shedding blood is completely figurative in this case, and we're just not supposed to kill people.
Elisa's mouth opens, fanged and carnivorous like a cat's, and swallows you whole.
Yeah, I don't think I can like think up something more than that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to build on that as the Devil's Bargain and say it's like, you wanted to find the Mad Prophet. You wanted to, get to the point of being fulfilled. Well, the forest will be fulfilled by consuming you. So.
I think there always has to be like a figurative rabbit for adventurers to chase up to this point. And I think if it's not Elise, it'll be you.
I was going to say something along those lines, that this display proves your worthiness and you become the Mad Prophet.
I had the same idea. So
Oh, good. I don't know how you're going to pick, Jack, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think I've got the Mad Prophet angle.
Awesome.
I become the Mad Prophet, rather.
Okay. 2 light, 1 dark. Okay.
I'm rolling far too well in this game.
Yeah, you are. I'm like, all right.
I was gunning for madness, and the dice are not telling me the story.
Well, but isn't Wonderland kind of like verging on that anyway?
It's true.
You lean into it, it will serve you well. And that's actually what reroll.
I mean, yeah, you can always just reroll. I was gonna
You
say.
could always reroll. You want to see how bad you get?
You know what? I'm gonna do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It's even better. You did the best you possibly can in this game.
Oh my god, so funny. 2 light die 6s and 1 dark die, so his rune goes up to 5, only 5. So you succeed, you survive, you basically choke out this entity named Elise, and you feel yourself changing. You feel the robes of the Mad Prophet come upon you.
Can I actually say that when I'm choking at Elise, that there's a blink and it's actually myself?
Oh, okay.
And just choking the life out of this doppelganger. And but it's got the robes of the Mad Prophet on him. And when he finally dies, that's when he'll just take the robes off of him and swallow himself, as if like trying to keep himself warm.
Absolutely. So, outside of the bush, there is the flecks of blood from your companions that have stained the roses further. But for every person that has died around this bush, another white, pure white rose has grown on the bush. So now there are 4 roses, white roses, unstained, pure, and shining in the moonlight. And that will be the end of Ring 5. I can give you a few minutes if you want to think about your epilogues. Epilogues at the end of a Trophy Dark game are essentially what, if your character has survived, how they have been changed by the forest, and it can be any time after the events of this incursion, or if you have died or been lost to the forest, what indicate what has happened in the world since. You just would be about your character. You would not implicate any other characters in your epilogue. Okay? So if you want to take a few minutes, or if anybody knows what they want to say now, that's fine. Okay? All right. Who wants to start?
Mine's really easy.
Okay.
Orlen is still in the forest. Probably like as close to that area with like the corrupted pools as possible. It feels a little bit like home. There's the mist. But it's just really welcoming. It's the best of both worlds. Doing his absolute best. Well, he's feeding himself, but incidentally, he's also feeding the roses. And just really fitting very perfectly into this ecosystem.
For Bajo's epilogue, what we see is place a bit similar to where we are right now. It's kind of like this magical forest, but this one we see like an open area. We see beings there, otherworldly beings interacting with each other, moving around this place in a very swirling way. Like the architecture of this place lends itself to that. And then we just see these younger versions of these like otherworldly beings. They're probably the children of this place. And we see them kind of just like waiting at the edge of the woods. And then we see from the edge of the woods this woman come out, haggard, bloodied, incredibly injured, and kneel in front of these children. And then that woman turns back into a white rabbit. And then one of the child goes, "See? Mine came back first." And then the other one looks dejected, looking at the forest, and just goes, "Stupid Baso, couldn't make it back here." And they both go along playing a different game instead.
I think from Mahera, we see very simply the wanted poster of her still laying in that. We lost Jack. Still laying in the same spot where Bajo found it. It is dirtied and muddied in the soil and has begun to degrade, returning to the earth from which its paper came. And we just see a single sprout having grown up through sorry, we see a pair of sprouts having grown up through Mahera's eyes and are beginning to bloom.
Lastly, there is the entrance to Rosenwald, the same place where the four of us gathered and watched the strange mock trial of the Bandit Queen and the other bandits, and the friend of Orlen who was strung up in a tree. But it's a different group of treasure hunters. They all look different from how we looked, but they all have the same hesitant determination in their eyes as they continue onward. There's a moment where as they are entering deeper into the wood, that they pause when they hear this low moaning sound off in the distance. And to those who recall, it's a similar kind of groaning, moaning sound that the Orlen beast makes when it feeds. And they're startled by that and frozen. They look as if they want to turn back. But then on a log, a tree stump been cut down, is a young boy with straggly hair, big wide eyes, and a big smile. And he looks up at them. Hello, I'm Bozoba. Come, you're on the right track. It's not too far from here.
And so ends Rosenwald. Oh, wow. Stars and wishes. I want to start. As always, I am not disappointed by any of the role play. I mean, you guys did brilliantly for, honestly, wasn't sure if you were going to top what you did in the first part. I was wrong. You did. And it was wonderful. I mean, all the choices made bizarre or fitting or leaning into your characters was amazing. So, I mean, narrations were fun, and I mean, again, keep checking the safety tab, but I mean, when it was marked interest, I mean, like, just go for it. I mean, it's fine. I'll like definitely put content warnings depending on like, if this goes out as a video or as a podcast or just audio. But I mean, everything was great, and I really enjoyed myself being able to kind of carry you through this, but you guys pretty much did all the work yourselves. I just called rolls at this point. So this was so much fun, I think. So again, stars for the role play, stars for like just running with everything that had happened, and then making it work amongst yourselves, and then wishes. I don't really have any. I mean, it's I love Trophy Dark as a game because I mean it's just so playable and replayable that even if you all did this again, I'm pretty sure that you would probably come up with something different for the next time we ran this. So it would be interesting to see if you all did do it again with somebody else running or different characters, how much different it would be, playing it as the incursion again. So again, stars, bursting stars for everyone.
I mean, I think you're vastly underestimating the amount of work you did to like keep it immersive. And again, I'm back to the voices, but like I can't do them, so I think it's very cool when other people can. And also just the little details, like when you were giving us like the dead bandit pastiches and stuff. Like, yeah, it kept it creepy the entire way through, which was awesome.
Yeah. Stars overall for getting to finish this out and fitting bloody end as I think all Trophy Dark games should end. Individual stars for Mads, obviously for wrangling this all together. I know it was probably pretty difficult with like 3 different places people were trying to go narratively. You know, it can kind of get difficult. So, but I think that you were able to like bring us back to the center. And yeah, I really like the idea of this like horrible contest to try and get this thing when most of us are tiny, except for Orlen, who's very, very not tiny. And then of course all of it just sitting in blood. Yeah, I liked something that players like you, Paul, do, where you're able to play these really sympathetic characters, and so it makes the bad things that happen to them feel really bad. So like when at the end, when you were just saying you want to go home, it makes it obviously much more tragic, which is always good story. I really liked I liked Orlen just becoming this like weird creature, this guardian of this weird forest. And now that you know and I didn't pick up on it as much at first, but I think you really nailed it with this path of like your affinity for animals more than your affinity for other human beings, and your desire to just like be in nature. And so now you are just in nature. So in a weird way, you got kind of your wish, but now you're things could have gotten worse. And Elle, you know, I always love your narrations. They're always good time, especially like with the intestinal. It's funny though, because what I was hoping what would happen is because I wanted to get 6 ruin, obviously, and I had it in my head that because Bozoba is a vessel, like he needs to be emptied out. So he was planning on using. I was planning on trying to get him to, at some point, give him his intestines, or have him give his intestines to her as a rope, if she needed it. But the dice were not in my favor. But no, I loved just like the final end to everybody, and yeah, good times.
I'm gonna individual stars wise. I'm gonna second Elle's narration. Just the flesh flower was like such a I've never seen or experienced anything quite like that. It's just like, oh Jesus God, you know. I agree that Baso was really, really fun to watch throughout, but I thought the little epilogue like added such a like insane little quirk to the story as well. I liked that. And then I just like that Bozoba was our maddest character through the entire thing, and somehow that worked out. That was great.
Yeah, it kind of felt right to me that Bozoba was the one to survive in the end. He seemed like the one who was most well suited to life in these topsy-turvy woods. But I really enjoyed everyone's ending, and I second what Anne just said about Bajo's epilogue. I like audibly gasped. I just thought it was like such a great little spin that I wasn't expecting at all, but in retrospect makes a lot of sense. Like it feels like the moment at the end of the movie when like the twist is revealed and you're like, oh, I have to watch it again now to like pick up on all the breadcrumbs. So that was awesome. I wrote down notes for this even. I cannot remember what they are. Oh yeah, I loved Orlen like really leaning into what he was becoming. Somehow I think that makes it more horrifying to watch from the outside. Because seeing this like kind of natural but unnatural change, and the person going, yeah, I like that. It's great. And yeah, I thank you for putting up with my gory inclinations tonight. I don't know where that came from, but I was really like, I was really in a bloody mood, I guess.
That is perfectly fine. I mean, I will honestly say, I mean, thank you guys for giving me so much stuff to work with. I was taking notes like crazy, you would not believe it. And I was hearing, I was listening to everything that it seemed like you were leaning into, and it's like I appreciate that so much because it makes my job as keeper like easier to be able to, steer you in that direction. And Trophy Dark being as tragic as it is, it's like, okay, like just jump on that part that will hopefully push your drive, pull at your heartstrings, and then get you to where hopefully you want to go. I mean, like I'm just helping like guide the boat. I'm not really driving it, So hopefully I picked up on all your navigation. So I mean that was like stars for everybody's role play.
Um, Everyone kind of mentioned a lot of the stars. I was thinking about and the individual stars to more Anne than Orlen, because it's really cool when you kind of just accepted that like you were no longer, for like a moment, you weren't a character, you were an obstacle to everyone else when you became like the beast transformed. Because like sometimes it's tough for people to be like, yeah, no, I'm not really playing right now. I just want to be the challenge for everyone else and helping set that up. And like I really appreciate that. Jack, whenever you play a character, it always feels like you've been playing them for months instead of figuring them out. It's always just like a clear picture. And you've played like such different characters every time I've played with you, and it's really cool to see that they always feel so like fleshed out whenever we play. And for Mahera just felt very like just cool like the whole time. Like like if I was watching the show, Mahera would just be like, yeah, there's the cool character that's like it's cool to see what they do and stuff. I don't know what words to describe it besides like, yeah, it was like all her screen time was just very like enthralling. It's
Badass.
yeah, it's very
Badass.
badass, yeah. And star for Mads because Trophy really asks a GM to like just like improv throughout the whole thing. And especially when the group gives you a lot of like very curveball-y devil's bargains, like not the most like straightforward ones. It's a bit difficult to like fully still incorporate those. So like kudos on that. Yeah.
Her bounty poster said "bad bitch wanted." Yeah, probably.
Word.
Oh, you probably did have some sort of nickname that they knew you by, um, kicking and screaming out like out in the wild. So I mean, again, this was a wonderful experience. Thank you guys so much for playing in this incursion, with me running it and giving me more practice. I mean, this is the kind of thing I want, and I don't know what it is. There's just something very enjoyable about this game, regardless of playing or keeping for it, because the atmosphere is just, it can be so bazonkers, it can be so surreal, and it's not straight fantasy, it's not straight horror, it's just a delicious combination of both. And yeah, I mean, I appreciate it from both sides of the table, and um, it was my pleasure to carry you through this. So yeah, um, if you do have a chance to read the incursion, it's like I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, because there were certain things that I included in there that was like me, and then things that I was just kind of changing around a little bit from the actual incursion to be able to help you guys lean in a little bit more on what you were doing. So yeah, I think that's the most fun of running these kinds of things, because it's like ample opportunity to improv, wonderful opportunities to let the players roam in this sandbox of this world, and again, it's just the feeling. The feeling is just so amazing to get through all of the rings and then see what happens to these characters' tragic ends. Those epilogues, man, holy crap. Brilliant. Loved them. And Yeah. So, again, thank you very much. It was my pleasure, and I'm like, I want to say bye, but I don't want to say bye.
We'll see each other again soon, I'm sure.
Of course, absolutely.
Thank you
Alrighty.
again for running this.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
thank you
you.
guys. Thank you guys so much.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.